Right now, you're probably warm. Maybe there's a heater running quietly in the background. Maybe you're wrapped in a blanket without even thinking about it. If the temperature drops, you simply turn a dial, push a button, or adjust your thermostat. Within minutes, the cold disappears. Food is waiting in your refrigerator. Hot coffee is only a few steps away. Your phone can tell you exactly when the next snowstorm will arrive. Winter has become little more than an inconvenience. But now, imagine losing all of it. No electricity, no heating, no insulated walls, no supermarkets, no medicine, no weather forecast, no rescue. Now imagine stepping outside into a world where the temperature is far below freezing. The wind slices through your skin like tiny knives. Every breath burns your lungs. The river has turned into solid ice. The trees are completely silent. Nothing is growing. Nothing feels alive. And somewhere beyond the trees, a pack of hungry wolves is following your footprints. Behind you, inside a small shelter made from sticks and animal skins. Your family is waiting. They're hungry, they're cold, and they're depending on you to return with food before nightfall. Because if you don't, they may never see another sunrise. For almost all of human history, this wasn't a nightmare. This was simply winter. Thousands of generations face this reality every single year. Yet somehow, against impossible odds, human beings survived. Not only did they survive, they spread across frozen Europe, crossed the icy plains of Siberia, and eventually reached nearly every corner of the earth. So here's the real mystery. How did a species with no fur, no claws, and no natural protection against freezing temperatures become the greatest survivor of the Ice Age? The answer is one of the most incredible stories in human history. Chapter 1. Winter was designed to kill around 100,000 years ago. Winter wasn't simply cold. Winter was a survival test. Everything changed the moment the first heavy snowfall arrived. The forest became strangely quiet. Birdsongs disappeared. Rivers stopped flowing. The ground hardened like stone. Plants vanished beneath thick layers of snow. Even sunlight became rare. Some days, the sky remained gray from morning until night. Food slowly disappeared. The berries collected during summer were gone. Fresh plants could no longer be found. Many animals migrated south. Others starved before spring ever arrived. For ancient humans, every sunrise brought the same terrifying question. Would there be enough food today, or would someone in the tribe go hungry? Hunger wasn't the only danger. The cold itself was hunting them. The human body loses heat much faster than most mammals. Unlike bears, we don't grow thick winter fur. Unlike wolves, we can't survive by sleeping directly on frozen ground. And unlike reindeer, our bodies aren't built for Arctic temperatures. A healthy adult exposed to freezing weather without protection can develop hypothermia within just a few hours. As body temperature falls, thinking becomes slower, hands stop working properly, walking becomes difficult. Eventually, the body simply gives up. And the frightening part is, many people don't even realize it's happening. But freezing wasn't the only enemy waiting outside. Winter also made hunting far more dangerous. Snow revealed every footprint. Animals became harder to approach. One failed hunt meant wasting precious energy. One broken leg, one deep cut, one wrong decision could end an entire family's chance of surviving until spring. Winter attacked from every direction at once. The cold, the hunger, the predators, and perhaps the most dangerous enemy of all, hopelessness. Because once a person stopped believing they could survive, nature usually finished the job. Yet despite all of this, ancient humans refused to disappear. Instead, they began creating survival methods so clever that they would eventually allow our species to conquer even the coldest places on Earth. And it all started with one discovery that changed human history forever. Chapter 2. Fire was never enough. At first, the answer seems obvious. Fire. It kept people warm, cooked their food, scared away dangerous animals. Case closed. Right? Not even close. Because fire had one fatal weakness. It only protected you while you stayed beside it. The moment you stepped into the freezing darkness, the cold came rushing back. Ancient humans couldn't spend all day sitting around a campfire. They still had to hunt, collect firewood, search for fresh water, repair shelters, protect their families. Every trip outside meant leaving the only source of warmth they had. And winter never showed mercy. Strong winds could steal body heat within minutes. Wet clothes became deadly. Even touching ice for too long could leave fingers numb and useless. So ancient humans realized something important. Surviving winter wasn't about making a bigger fire. It was about carrying warmth with them. That realization changed everything. Scientists believe early humans had controlled fire for hundreds of thousands of years. But surviving the Ice Age required something far more advanced than simply keeping flames alive. They needed warmth that could travel, and nature already had the answer. Animals. Look at a wolf during winter, or a bison, or a musk ox. They don't survive because they stand near a fire. They survive because they carry their protection everywhere they go. Their fur traps tiny pockets of warm air close to the body. Ancient humans noticed this. Every successful hunt became more than a meal. It became an opportunity. Instead of throwing away the animal's skin, they carefully removed it, scraped away the fat, cleaned it, dried it, and slowly learned how to turn raw hides into clothing. At first, these hides were simply wrapped around the body. It helped, but not enough. Cold air still rushed through every opening. Strong winds stole precious body heat. Then came one of the greatest inventions in human history, the sewing needle, more than 40,000 years ago. Humans began crafting tiny needles from animal bones. Each one had a small eye carved into it, using strong animal sinew as thread. They stitched separate pieces of fur together into fitted clothing. Suddenly, cold air had fewer places to enter. Sleeves covered the arms, leg coverings protected the knees, hoods covered the head. For the first time, humans weren't simply wearing animal skins. They were designing winter clothing. And that single invention changed where humans could live. People began moving into places that had once been impossible to survive. Frozen valleys, snow-covered forests, even the edge of the Arctic. But clothing alone still wasn't enough. When the sun disappeared and temperatures dropped even lower. Every family faced another deadly challenge. They needed somewhere the freezing wind couldn't reach them, and the shelters they built would become some of the most remarkable engineering achievements of the ancient world. Chapter 3. Homes Built to Defeat. Winter. Finding warm clothing solved one problem, but every evening, a far more dangerous question remained. Where could you sleep without freezing to death? During the Ice Age, night was often deadlier than the day. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, the temperature dropped even further. The wind became stronger, the darkness became endless, and every hour spent exposed to the cold pushed the human body closer to its limit. Today, our homes protect us without us even noticing. Walls block the wind, roofs keep out the rain, insulation traps warm air. Ancient humans had none of these luxuries, yet somehow they still managed to build shelters that kept entire families alive. The easiest solution was a cave. A good cave blocked the wind, stayed warmer than the freezing air outside, and protected people from snowstorms. But caves had one serious problem. There weren't enough of them. A safe cave was one of the most valuable places in the ancient world. Humans competed for them. So did bears, hyenas, wolves, and other dangerous predators. Finding an empty cave was often a matter of luck. When no cave could be found, humans built their own homes, and they used whatever nature provided. Strong tree branches became the frame, large animal hides became the walls, thick grass covered the roof, heavy stones held everything in place against powerful winter winds. These shelters looked simple, but every part had a purpose. The entrance was kept as small as possible, not to save building materials, but to stop warm air from escaping. Inside, families slept close together. The fire burned near the center. Smoke slowly escaped through small openings above. Every detail mattered, because one mistake could fill the shelter with freezing air or dangerous smoke. But in the cold, open grasslands of Ice Age Europe, trees were often scarce. Wood wasn't always available, so ancient humans did something extraordinary. They built homes from the bones of the largest land animals that ever lived, mammoths. Archaeologists have discovered ancient villages in modern-day Ukraine where people stacked hundreds of mammoth bones into large circular structures. Massive tusks formed curved entrances. Huge leg bones supported the walls. Jaw bones were carefully arranged like giant building blocks. Then, animal hides were stretched over the entire structure. Grass, mud, and even packed snow were added to seal every tiny gap. It may sound strange today, but packed snow is actually an excellent insulator. Tiny pockets of trapped air slow the escape of heat, the same reason an igloo can stay surprisingly warm inside. These weren't just temporary camps. Some of these shelters protected families through entire winters. Children grew up inside them. Stories were shared around their fires. Tools were repaired. Clothing was stitched. And plans for the next hunt were made. For ancient humans, a shelter wasn't simply a place to sleep. It was the thin line between life and death. But even the warmest shelter couldn't solve winter's greatest problem. Because eventually, everyone gets hungry. And surviving the cold meant finding enough food when almost nothing outside was alive.